New Zealand, the staff from Cornette's beloved Wendy's are about to go on strike as they look for a better payday. Jim, do you have any stories of any of the workers holding out for better pay? And if so, did it work or backfire on them?
Okay, that's a strange leap. But I get it. He wanted to tie Wendy's into the wrestling business because it's me and everything. And by the way, I wonder what the fucking minimum wage is in a place like New Zealand.
I will see what I can find out. Interesting question.
Yes, because I wonder if they have a legitimate gripe or if the people over here are getting fucked in the ass even worse. Because the attitude of most of the fucking Wendy's workers that I deal with these days is that they would rather be anywhere else. But anyway, yeah, I mean, guys have been holding promoters up for more money since the dawn of time. Whether it was successful or not is another story. I mean, you know, your buddy Austin Idol over there, Brian, that you used to broadcast with, could probably write the book on that one stories, yeah. Rearranging the specifications after the initial contact had been made. But I mean, it usually only happened. It didn't happen like, hey, you know, often I should say, give me, you know, extra $500 a week from now on or I'm walking. It was usually over a big house. But a lot of times there were guys who were main event guys who would go to the promoter and say, hey, you know, I've been averaging $700 a week or whatever the fuck it was. And I thought I was going to make 1,000, or you said I'd make 1,000, or I need to make 1,000, or whatever it is. And they would strong arm a little, you know, guarantee or a little, you know, under the table bonus every week to get them to where they needed to be. The first time when we went to work for Watts, he told us that we'd be making 1,000 a week apiece, usually at minimum. And the second or third week we were there, we didn't, because there was small shows and we were underneath matches, but he bonused us $200. So we made it. You know, they could do whatever they wanted. But generally a holdup came over the big house, because then the fucking talent has most of the cards. Because if you've got a huge house on a blow-off match and one of the guys that's advertised in it says, well, I need some more fucking money, what are you going to do most of the time? Even Vince Sr.'s motto was get the match in the ring, right?
Jeff
Deal
Jarrett,
with
yeah.
Jeff Jarrett, get to, you know, there you go. Vince Jr. had to pony up a couple $100,000 to get Jeff Jarrett to drop the belt to a woman on his last night in the territory, back when guys actually still took the business seriously, and the people did somewhat as well and were respectful to it. Jeff, I applauded that when I found out it was $200,000. I knew he was walking around the building and that there was talks going on, but I didn't know it was $200,000 for a while. But to on his last night in the company, where he's going to have to go somewhere and make money after that, to lose on pay-per-view to a woman, yeah, he needed $200,000, and I'm proud of him for that. Ernie Ladd, we've talked about, used to, if he didn't think he'd been being treated right and it got to the big show and the big house and he told the promoter what he needed and they didn't say, well, we think you're right, Ernie, then he'd take his bag and he'd walk out to the ring and around the ring and out the front door, so people knew what was going on. But, you know, usually it was and then Ernie, Superstar Billy Graham, and Ivan Koloff had a deal with Vince Sr. that they all three got paid the same regardless of their position on the card, because they were the rotating main event heels in the territory at the time, and they all had a hand in drawing the house. So, you know, I mean, everybody's probably got some kind of crazy hold-up story or whatever. It's been going on since the dawn of time, but usually it wasn't like tear up my contract, because there were none. That was one way it used to work in the boys' benefit. Because, you know, you could get fired, given 2 weeks notice anytime, but you could also fucking give 2 weeks notice or just flat out fucking leave anytime, and there was nothing on paper. And since there was 24 places to work where you could make an equivalent amount of money, it didn't make any difference. And then also 6 months later, you'd probably be back in the same place because you'd have made up with whoever the fuck. Remember, Jerry Jarrett and Jerry Lawler bought Jimmy Valiant a house in Memphis to stay in the Memphis territory because he could make more money in the Carolinas. And he moved in it and lived in it for like 3 months. And then he said, fuck, Jarrett got a note that the keys were in his mailbox. Or was it Lawler who got the note? But Handsome left the keys to the house in one of their mailboxes. Probably Lawler. He lived in Memphis and fucking took off for the Carolinas.
By the way, Jim, the minimum wage in New Zealand recently rose on April 1st to $16.50 an hour.
What the fuck?
But the starting out and training minimum wage is $13.20 an hour,
What
80% of the regular minimum wage for people starting out.
Okay, now, Kreskin, what is the equivalent of the New Zealand dollar to the United States dollar? Because as we all know, I believe everybody's aware that it isn't the United States minimum wage, and I think California raised it or whatever, but most of the United States minimum wage is what, $7.50 per hour? I believe that's the case.
$16.50 per hour in New Zealand is the equivalent of $11.42 an hour in U.S. dollars.
So their minimum wage is $4 an hour more than ours is. I don't think the Wendy's fucking employees ought to strike. I think they ought to goddamn buy the company with all that money they're making.